Most of the demos we give about adaptable features show some of the big ticket items in our AG grid extension, things like layouts, calculated columns, team sharing, conditional styles, etc. But Adaptable also comes with a very powerful Adaptable API, a set of hundreds, even thousands of runtime functions designed to allow developers to have complete control over AG Grid and Adaptable so they can do anything they want programmatically. So in this demo, I thought we would look at selection as a good example of some of the things that we make available at runtime through the Adaptable API. And this is all available on our documentation site, and we've got lots of demos, each showing different aspects available, and in many of them for selection we've added some custom toolbar buttons to allow us very quickly to illustrate what's going on. For example, in this demo we show how you can programmatically select cell ranges. We have 4 buttons. The first one selects a name and language range. This one here selects the second range, stars and license, and this one of course clears it. In each demo you can see the code which shows you how it's done. So in this example here we have a grid cell range, and then we call select cell range as needed. You can also select ranges using expressions. Expressions are available in Adaptable QL, or query language that we use for alerts and queries and calculated columns and reports and many other places. It's a big topic, too much for this demo, but essentially in this example here we've created lots of expressions that allow us to select ranges accordingly. So the first one selects any cell which is a license of other. The next one here, select HTML rows, as it implies, selects a whole row where the language is HTML. This one here, select big stars, actually selects ranges of name, GitHub stars and watchers, but only for rows where GitHub stars is greater than 40,000. You can actually also export the selection. So here we've exported that as a CSV export, and then you can clear. Again, we won't go into the details now, but essentially you can see how we provide an expression and we then call that expression in the function select cell range by query. You can also select columns, and when you select a column there's 2 ways of doing it. You can select it so that it replaces what's previously selected, or by using a method in Column API that it adds it. So first we use this function which takes an array of columns, language and license, to select them, and then here we select GitHub stars replacing our selection. But if we now put that first selection back and call this function which keeps a selection for GitHub watchers, you see that we now have 3 columns selected, and again, for those who are interested, all the code's available. You can also select rows, and when you select rows you can do it 2 ways programmatically. You can select a row using a primary key value. That's a way of saying we identify this row through this unique value, or through an AG grid row node. And again, we've got an example here of both. So this button selects the first and third rows using primary keys, but this button selects the 5th row by providing it with a node. And again, for those who are interested, the code is there. And finally, for selection, you can select the whole grid. So just 2 very simple methods, one to select everything and one to clear everything. We've also got attendant methods which allow you to highlight and jump to cells, so we thought we'd show those very quickly. So when you highlight, essentially you can provide a style for a particular cell or row. You can say what the forecolor, back color, bold, etc. is. So in this example here, we highlight the cell ember.js for 5 seconds. You can see we make the background purple, and then in the 5 seconds that will disappear. And then here we highlight the whole row solid. We give it a fore and back color, and then I've got another button which allows me to unhighlight it. So I highlight it and unhighlight it. And finally, in this video, we'll also very quickly look at jumping to cells and columns, because that can be very useful, and often you do that together with highlighting, of course, where if something happens and you want to make the user jump to whichever cell or row he needs to see, Then you can do that also programmatically. So in this first example, we jump to Quasar. That's one of the last rows in our grid. And we jump to the created at column, which you can see we've done here. And now here I'm going to jump back to the angular row. That's the second row. And you can see we've jumped back to it. Here I'm going to jump to the issue change column. That's a column far to the right. As you can see, it's actually the last column in the grid. And then obviously I can go back whenever I want to my Quasar and to my Angular. So there we are. In this video, we've looked very quickly at three aspects of what you can do programmatically through the Adaptable API: selection, highlighting and jumping. There's thousands more methods available to you, but if you'd like to learn more about what you've seen today or some of the other functions available, then please get in touch. We'll be delighted to provide you with a one-to-one demo, or indeed a free, no obligation trial license so you can try out Adaptable for yourself. Thank you for watching.